You're standing at the grocery store checkout. The cashier tells you your total bill, let's say $45. You look down at your grocery bags. The same rice, the same chicken, the same ordinary items, exactly what you have been buying every week for the past 3 years. You stand there for a moment, trying to do the math in your head. This exact same grocery used to cost 3,000 taka. You didn't intentionally add anything new or luxurious to your life, yet for some unknown reason, that number for your expenses just keeps going up every single month. My name is Jeffrey, and I spend way too much time thinking about financial assets that will be useless by 2030, and one that won't. If you're someone who feels financially stuck despite following all the rules, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's what most people don't realize. The traditional assets you were told to aggressively accumulate, the specific college degrees, the standard coding skills, the completely passive retirement accounts, are actively decaying in value. Look, the math just doesn't add up, and here's why. We're living through a massive economic displacement, and the official numbers are specifically designed to make that movement look much smaller than it actually is. You're told the unemployment rate is 4.3%, which sounds perfectly fine, but that headline number completely ignores the 911,000 phantom jobs recently revised out of existence, the part-time workers who desperately want full-time hours, and the millions who simply gave up looking. Once you fold those groups in, real unemployment sits at nearly 8%. Honestly, most people are just flat out wrong about this. They think they are safe because they became digital natives or learned to code. But an entire generation was sold a massive economic bet that is paying off in a brutal way. We're seeing a fundamental shift in what the market values. By March of 2026, AI became the single leading stated reason for corporate layoffs, driving 25% of all cuts in a single month. Goldman Sachs estimates that up to 11 million workers face displacement over the next decade, and McKinsey found that 57% of U.S. work hours could theoretically be automated using technology that exists right now, not future science fiction, today. Look at a company like Clara. They publicly replaced 700 customer service workers with AI. Sure, the experiment degraded their service quality, and they quietly had to hire humans back because it turns out people want to talk to people. But those original 700 workers who were replaced, they didn't get their jobs back when the boardroom realized it went too far. The workers caught in the middle simply absorbed the cost of the trial. The specific technical skills you hold right now, the ones you spent tens of thousands of dollars to acquire, are a human capital asset. But the World Economic Forum estimates that 39% of current skill sets will be entirely outdated between 2025 and 2030. 4 in 10 workers are holding skills that are actively losing market value as we speak. Here's the thing. It's not just your skills that are decaying. It's the traditional financial assets you're pouring your money into. Let's look at the cornerstone of the American retirement, the 401k. You're told it's the ultimate safe asset, but let's run the napkin math. Let's say you start saving at 35. You contribute 10% of the median household income, about $6,300 a year. Get a 3% employer match, and earn a solid 7% annual return for 30 years. On paper, you accumulate about $830,000. Sounds incredibly encouraging, right? Until you adjust for 30 years of 3% inflation, which reduces your real purchasing power to roughly $342,000 in today's money. Using a safe withdrawal rate of 3.7%, your nest egg generates just $12,654 per year. Add the average Social Security benefit, and your total retirement income is $36,354 a year. 36 grand. In a country where the average one-bedroom apartment in a mid-sized city costs over $1,400 a month. That is a mathematically broken asset, and that's before the invisible drain of fees. The Department of Labor calculated that on a $25,000 investment over 35 years, the difference between a 0.5% fee and a 1.5% fee results in $64,000 in final wealth. $64,000 gone, not to taxes, not to a market crash, but silently siphoned away to fund expenses disclosed in a font specifically chosen to discourage you from reading it. Over a full career, these fees can consume nearly 1/3 of investment returns for a median income household. Now, you might be thinking, but Jeffrey, what about just holding cash or buying a house? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Your cash is getting eaten alive by hidden taxes and inflation. When the administration slapped a 46% reciprocal tariff on imported goods like shoes, a New York Fed analysis found that American consumers and businesses bore 94% of that cost. You paid for it. And housing? A recent study found that 74.9% of U.S. households cannot afford a median-priced new home. The income required to follow standard financial guidelines for housing now sits between $112,000 and $141,000, while the median income is stuck around $83,730. The people who bought years ago at 3% interest rates are trapped in their homes because they can't afford to trade up at today's 7% rates. So they don't sell, inventory never materializes, and the housing market becomes a closed loop. For millions of younger Americans, a house isn't an asset anymore. It's a locked gate. Look, it's not just about the money, it's about how your brain is being hacked by all of this. Behavioral economists call it normalcy bias. It's the human brain's tendency to assume the future will look exactly like the present, even when all the evidence suggests otherwise. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Because the hole is at the very bottom and you can't see the leak, you just keep pouring water in, wondering why you're always thirsty. You keep trusting the same old assets, the outdated tech skills, the high-fee 401k, the assumption that a raise actually increases your purchasing power. But a 4% raise when inflation is running at 5% is a pay cut with extra steps. Your brain looks at the slightly larger number on your paycheck and feels good, completely ignoring the fact that you are losing purchasing power. That cognitive blind spot is incredibly expensive. The floor has moved. So how do you move with it? What is the one asset that won't be useless by 2030? It is genuine AI fluency combined with your existing expertise. Workers earning a massive 56% wage premium right now are those who aren't replacing their work with AI, but augmenting it. A financial analyst who uses AI for data synthesis covers in hours what used to take days. You become the person who can do the work of 5 people by commanding the tool. That is the ultimate appreciating asset. Next, you have to aggressively stop bleeding cash to depreciating liabilities. If you're carrying credit card debt, you need to know that Americans paid $160 billion in credit card interest last year alone. If you have an $8,000 balance at 22% interest, you're paying $147 a month for the privilege of buying exactly nothing. Paying off a 22% credit card is a guaranteed 22% return on your money. No passive index fund on earth can guarantee you that. Use the debt avalanche method. Hit the highest interest rates first and eliminate them. Finally, if you have access to a health savings account, or HSA, you need to use it. It is the single most tax-advantaged account in the entire U.S. tax code. Contributions are tax-deductible, growth is tax-free, and withdrawals for medical expenses are tax-free. Nothing else does all three. We are living in a personal recession, a slow, persistent drift where the exact same effort produces slightly less every single year. The difference between the people who survive this decade and the people who get crushed by it isn't raw intelligence. It's not even income. It's whether you act on the discomfort you're feeling right now. Don't let normalcy bias lull you into a financial coma. Don't be the person who waits until 2030 to realize the assets they spent their life building are fundamentally empty. Take one small, boring, intentional step today. Move your emergency savings to a high-yield account. Read the fee disclosure on your retirement plan. Learn one new AI tool that speeds up your job. Build your runway so you can make decisions from stability rather than desperation. This is your reality now. Own it before it owns you.